And several times I was on the verge of saying to someone, hey, I've got these great ideas, we should build this thing. And every time something happened to me, like they left me out of a meeting, or someone told me off for just doing my thing and doing the work I was supposed to be doing, or they wouldn't give me a piece of work, which was quite the theme. And every time I was like, okay, maybe I won't talk about it. And eventually I was like, I think the universe is telling me I'm the person who needs to build this, and I shouldn't hand it to someone else.
Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where powerhouse women break limits, claim their worth, and rise beyond good enough. I'm Jennifer Perri, a transformational coach, best-selling author, and fierce advocate for women reclaiming their power. After overcoming adversity from an abusive marriage to Guillain-Barré syndrome, I've made it my mission to help women rise above limiting beliefs, unlock their genius, and create lives of freedom, ease, and fulfillment. Each week, I sit down with 6- and 7-figure female entrepreneurs, executives, and visionaries who are rewriting the rules of success, building lasting impact, and owning their brilliance. Together, we'll share strategies, breakthroughs, and unfiltered conversations designed to inspire your clarity, confidence, and next-level power. This isn't just another business podcast. It's where transformation meets legacy and where unstoppable women rise. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast. So welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where women stop waiting and start choosing what's next. I'm your host, Jennifer Perri. I'm a reinvention strategist, a best-selling author, and the CEO of Shiro Life and Empowerment Coaching. Each week, I sit down with powerful women, entrepreneurs, executives, and visionaries who are redefining success and building lives on their terms. Today's theme is From Builder to Leader, Navigating the Identity Shift to Entrepreneurship. And I am super excited to have my very special guest today, Sarah Eggleston. How are you? And welcome.
I'm well. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, I'm going to brag on you just for a couple minutes before we start getting into the interview, but I want to tell our listeners a little bit more about you. So I know when people talk about me, I have to sit there like, please just get it over with. So Sarah is a software developer turned founder and CEO of fflow, a SaaS platform designed to help agencies manage projects, track work and time off, and bring clarity to operational systems. Before launching fflow, Sarah spent years working as a developer and consultant, including a significant period of time at IBM. Alongside building her company, Sarah is passionate about supporting other founders and advocating for inclusivity and minority representation in STEM. So thank you again, Sarah, for being here. And if you want to just take a couple seconds and tell everybody a little bit more about you, where I'm talking to you from right now, because obviously you're not in the States. So
No.
Go ahead.
I'm English and I live in the UK, which makes sense. But I didn't always live here. When I was a kid, my father worked for the World Health Organization. So I spent my childhood in countries like Denmark, Switzerland, and India, and attending international schools in those places. Sadly, my adult life has been a bit more boring. I've spent it all in the UK.
Now, did you learn to speak all the languages?
No, I regret. I learned Danish at the time, but I forgot it as soon as I left because I was quite young. And the only language I still remember is French.
Oh my goodness. I learned a lot of languages when I was in high school, but I learned too that unless you continue to use them, they disappear. And I learned German and Russian and a little bit of Latin. And how many people can you walk around that conversations with? Not very many. But I love language. I probably should get back into it. But so I want you to take us back to the beginning. What originally drew you to software development, and what did that world look like for you in your early career?
So if I go back even a little bit before that, the thing that I fell in love with very early on was maths. And there's still a bit of me now that wonders if that had something to do with India, because I was in India when I started to become a real maths aficionado. And I don't know if you're aware, but in both the UK and the US, I think, women in comp sci degrees, it's about a fifth, sort of 18-19%. In India, it's more like 30, 35, 40%, depending on which stats you're looking at. And there's
Wow.
a bit of me that wonders if in the school we went to, maths was my thing, and my brother, English was his thing. He became an actor. So there's always a bit of me that wonders, is it because we were in a school that just didn't have any preconceptions or had different approaches? And of course, girls could do maths. Anyway, so I always loved maths, and that was what I wanted to do. And then I was at a school for a while where the maths wasn't so strong. It was an international school in Switzerland, and they were really strong on languages and social sciences. And I was like, they do not take maths seriously enough. This is not where I want to be. So I lobbied my parents, and I came and did my last 2 years in the UK. It's called A levels. It's kind of the equivalent of your SATs. I came and did that in the UK at a boarding school. And I like to share that always to study, specialize. We specialized quite early. So at that point, I was specializing in maths and physics. I like to share that because some people say girls don't like physics. And I'm like, no, they really do. They really do love this stuff. We really do go. I even, changed countries just so I could do more maths. But in that new school, my maths, because of where I'd come from, I couldn't quite keep up with the class for the first year or so. And I was like, no, what am I going to do? I'm not good enough at maths anymore. And it was my thing, and I don't know what else to do. So I did the obvious thing. I did an engineering degree.
Wow. I'm not a fan of math. I'm just not. I'm married to an engineer who is a strong advocate for women in STEM. And, some of the things he can look at and instantly see the math making a difference. And I'm a corrective dyslexic, but math was a very difficult thing for me growing up. So I admire people who love math, and it just never resonated with me. Which is funny because I do finance, but doing the type of products and things that I do, it's not as heavy as the wealth management and the spreadsheets it's just different. I protect your life. I protect your income streams. It's a tiny bit different. So I have to know math, but I'm still kind of afraid of it.
I would say I can't add up anymore because these days, if I need to add something up, I'll write some code to do it. So my arithmetic's completely gone, and I don't think the formal maths has stayed either. But yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, you spent years as a developer before becoming a founder. And what was the moment of realization that made you think, I'm going to build something of my own?
Well, it was really quite gradual. I'm not sure there was one moment. I had the idea for the product that came first, funnily enough. So you mentioned I was a consultant for a bit, and I didn't like the software that IBM used for planning their consulting engagements. But I thought that might just be an IBM thing. So when I left IBM, I went to work agency side and see what they had. And they had great software. They had lots of brilliant tools. And they were user-friendly, and they were just lovely, but none of them talked to each other. So you had this thing of there was the project manager's looking at this great resource plan, but he doesn't know people on holiday because that's the HR software that does the vacation planning, and he doesn't have access to that. And you had a great time tracker, but you've got the finance team copying information into invoices, and there's mistakes, and there's emails flying saying, please don't bill to this code, it's gone, and all that stuff. And I was like, I'd already had some ideas from within IBM. And then I had some more ideas when I saw this. And I was like, I have lots of ideas. And several times I was on the verge of saying to someone, hey, I've got these great ideas. We should build this thing. And every time something happened to me, like they left me out of a meeting, or someone told me off for just doing my thing and doing the work I was supposed to be doing, or they wouldn't give me a piece of work, which was quite the theme. And every time I was like, okay, maybe I won't talk about it. And eventually I was like, I think the universe is telling me I'm the person who needs to build this, and I shouldn't hand it to someone else. I was early enough at that stage. I don't know if you're aware, most entrepreneurs go through this stage of, I have this amazing idea, it's magic. Later on you work out the idea is not the magic, the execution is the magic, right? Having the ideas are cheap. Everyone has ideas. But anyway, at the point where I thought the idea was valuable, I was genuinely thinking of giving it away, and I was like, eventually I was like, no, I need to do this. This is me. I am more and more not being given work. This became a real theme.
Why do you think you weren't given work? Is it just, what was the reasoning behind that?
Well, once it's happened in several different companies, you start to wonder if it's just because you're not any good, right? So, and that was part of it, as well, as I was going there with, yeah, maybe I'm just not the right person to do this. And so they were giving me, it was a mix of side projects and admin projects, and go tidy up this thing over here that nobody's very excited by, and all the stuff that's not visible with your management team, all the stuff that doesn't feel that rewarding either. But and I was just like, okay, well, maybe it's me. And then I was like, well, if I build something, I get to find out. And you know what? I can build things all on my own. I didn't need a team. I didn't need to be, not assigned work. I just needed to give myself permission to do it.
That's amazing. And you've described, I know we had a conversation outside of this as well, but you described entrepreneurship as more like surfing than riding a roller coaster. And can you talk about what that metaphor means to you and how it reflects the reality of building a company?
Yeah, because people talk about the roller coaster, but right, when you're on a roller coaster, someone designed it, someone engineered it, someone's managing it, someone's in control. The train has brakes. I mean, it feels out of control, but it actually isn't. It's quite an artificial ride. If you're on a surfboard in the middle of the ocean, no one is in control of anything. The waves come at you from everywhere, or there's a flat calm, or you get thrown about from all directions. That is much more like the entrepreneur experience. No one's in control, and stuff comes at you from all directions.
And I think I love that metaphor, and I think too it's so true. And if you're on the surfboard, or you're attempting to get on the surfboard, how many of those women or people in general just give up? Like after a while, you start to question, am I meant to be on this surfboard at all? In this ocean?
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so
What
hard.
what do you think for you gave you the determination to do that, to kind of get up there, stand on it, and move in the direction you wanted to? And know you already knew that you could build things, but I'm sure that there was a disconnect between why you weren't given the work, questioning if it was your potential or your capacity to do that. But what for you drove you?
I didn't know I could build things. It was that drive to find out exactly that. Could I build something? Could I do this? Have I got what it takes to build a product?
Well, obviously you do. And there's so many women that I know, that I, at least in what I do and who I work with, that are incredibly skilled at what they do. But for some reason they hesitate. They don't want to step into leadership or becoming their own boss, leaving corporate into doing something that they want. What internal shift, I know you shared a little bit of it, but what internal shift did you have to make to move from being a developer to becoming a CEO?
So a lot of the push actually came from the industry. It's not coincident that so many women leave the IT industry, right? It is a really hard place to be, and it gets harder in different ways. There are different challenges at different eras, but there's a point where as you get more senior, where it just becomes harder and harder to stay as a coder, as a developer, and you look around, discover that all your role models have left. And I mean, I never seriously considered leaving the industry because I just love coding too much. And so part of it was, okay, I'm going to grab back my love of coding instead of having to go out and fight political battles and fight to get people to give me space and understand me and listen to my ideas. Those battles were just getting so tiring. And like I said, I think a lot of people at that point, the decision they make is, okay, I'll just quit the industry. And I was like, no, I don't want to quit this industry. This is my thing. Coding is what I want to do, I think. Although, yeah, I'm a bit worried that I'm not good enough. But if I go away and have a go on my own, right, with no one to judge and no one to look, I can. And initially I had a day job and it was a side project. I'm like, I can just try and build something and see how I get on. And I built it. And that was really nice validation.
What has been the most surprising lesson that you've learned about yourself through the process?
So the thing I managed to successfully avoid throughout almost the whole of my career was people management. And the most surprising thing has been, if you're bootstrapping like I am, there is no budget. You don't hire a team. But there are lots of schemes, especially in the UK, but I imagine probably in the US as well, where you can hire students. So I've had a lot of student interns working on projects for various reasons, and they're either cheap or free. It's great. But you still have to be a people manager. So the astonishment to me has been, And in a way, it's the hardest people management because juniors, they like a lot of managing, and it took me a while to figure out all of that. I'm still figuring it out almost for sure. But yeah, I've been learning about people managing in a way that wasn't the plan because, like I said, I quit to build a product, not to become a people manager. But hey, that's not how it works out.
But you're so great. You're so easy to talk to. Like, I mean, our conversations have always flowed really well. Was it just that you were, I mean, I guess some people are more, they like to be behind the scenes and they don't like the whole having to manage the team. So I could see that. I think I'm probably a little bit of both. Like, I love people, but I have a really hard time delegating. So like, I feel like, well, if I have a team, I've got to give them stuff to do. And I don't like to do that. So I have to try to sort it all out on my own.
Delegating without micromanaging definitely has been one of my challenges and one of the things I'm still learning. Yeah, you delegated it, so now you have to let them do it their way, not your way.
Right. Well, let's dive in a little bit more to tell us what Flow is. Tell us why you felt the need to create it. Tell us where people can implement it in their business. Because, and this is me telling you this message, my goal is to make sure that you're visible in what you do, not only who you are, but what it is that you do. So if you can just tell me a little bit more about Flow and what you feel that it filled the holes and the gaps that was missing.
So there's two disconnects that I saw in agencies and in agency teams, consultancy teams in IBM, so sort of everywhere I've seen this. One is the tooling disconnect that I already mentioned. We sometimes call that data debt. So if you find yourself copying data from one tool into another, if you're using a spreadsheet to collect data from different tools, it's just that thing of as soon as you've got a manual step in the process, there's going to be mistakes, right? We all do the typo thing. We all do so if you're copying data around, you're exposing yourself to data debt, you're exposing yourself to mistakes. And so that's the first thing we wanted to solve. But from the beginning, my goal was, okay, so we have all this information in one place, if you want it that way, in one tool. So we do have built-in function in all those areas, so time tracking, invoicing, resource planning. But there's this thing where if you try and do everything, there's a huge risk from an architectural point of view that you just do everything badly. So my other thought was, well, okay, we have built-in function, but it's minimal. It's not all full bells and whistles. If you are getting started and you're a smallish agency, you're just starting to grow 5, 10 consultants maybe, you could use us and you could use us for everything. But equally, if you're a bit established or you've been doing what you did for a while, you've got tools you already love, or you want something that's a bit more sophisticated in one area, then our goal was to do API integrations with third-party tools. So the first one's live, it's Trello. We've got more coming along. And if you use us with the API integrations, then what you would end up with is you might still have data in several places, but we'd most for them, or the majority of them, we would just be reading. So it would just be a one-way. We'd read in data from those tools, and that gives you the opportunity to do the management dashboard, the management reporting, the management planning in one place, and still have your team use the tools that they love for the individual things they want to do. So it's connecting in two ways: connecting tools that don't talk to each other, providing that function if you want it, or giving you the option if you prefer using your own tools, but still getting the combined management dashboard.
How much do you think AI is going to affect any of that? Do you think it's going to come in and mess it all up? Do you think it's going to enhance it? Because everybody's talking AI nowadays.
They are talking AI. So I have two takes on AI. The first one is we at Flow, it's our policy, we do not use third-party AI tools for two reasons. One is where they got their data from. Who knows? Was it validated? Was it biased? Was it useful? And the other one is where our data goes. So we wouldn't want to send data from our customers into a third-party tool that could be owned in another part of the world that might have different jurisdictions, where, to be honest, even there are legal preventions on what they can do with your data. It's very hard to enforce those or to know what happened to your data. So we don't plan to use a third-party AI. That said, what we would very much love is to build our own LLM and have our own AI within the tool. And we would be able to say to you, your data only goes here, it's only seen by us. We only use it to train our own tooling, and we only use that to give you back your own advice, basically, based on you and what users like you do, or it would give us the flexibility to say, actually, if you don't want your data used to train our engine, then fine, just say no and we won't do it. So we'll have full control when we get there. I would love to get there. We don't have enough data yet to build the LLM, so not yet. Is it going to impact us from the competition? Possibly. But I think there's always going to be a space for users to say, for our customers to say, hey, you know what? I don't want my data going somewhere where I don't understand where it's going or what's happening to it. So I think there'll always be a space. For us, I think there will be a space for it. There are people who just love, especially in the marketing space, just love AI tools. Write me this blog post, do this stuff for me. They're very powerful. They're very quick. There's room for both. I think there's room for both in this world. I think the hype will ease off a bit, and what will be left is we'll keep it in the places where it's useful, and we'll move on in the places where it's not.
So what industries benefit the most from your platform? Is there a specific industry? Is there like one that just plugs in perfect for?
Professional services. One of the things we've been able to do, which specifically helps if what your agency does is broadly you do similar projects for lots of different customers. So that's kind of the opposite. The agencies I worked in were IT, where every project is unique and has its own messes. But if you're in, for example, digital marketing, you're doing SEO keyword research or you're writing blog posts, your tasks are pretty similar. They're just scheduled repetitively for several different customers. And what that means is we can give you, it's actually the step before AI. It's basically you build your own template. And having built that template, you can then click a button and produce a schedule and for one customer, and then you can do the same thing a week later for a different customer. And you can start to, it just saves you some typing, right? You automate your own schedules. And so, yes, the sweet spot is if you're able to use that, we love helping you with that. We love saving you typing. So yes, digital marketing agencies or anyone who, if what I was describing describes your relationship with your customers, then you might be interested in us, yes.
And we kind of talked about AI, but just it seems like the industry is always changing. There's always a new product or a tool, or I get an email. I mean, I get probably 300 emails a week. Half of them are advertising some new widget, some new platform, some new something you just have to have because it's the next thing that's coming. When things feel a little bit uncertain and chaotic in business and in what's coming and evolving, what helps you stay grounded and continuing to kind of move forward in what it is that you do?
It's two things. One is it's about people. You said yourself, you've just got these 300 emails coming into your inbox. You're probably not going to respond to any of them, right? Unless you feel like you know the person sending them and you've got some kind of trust relationship. So I think that people relationship, this kind of, this is great, right? Because people can see who I am and what my motivations are and how I've built, and hear me talk about how my approach to AI, and they can find out more about me that way. So this kind of podcast, I don't think is going anywhere, right? You're right in there on that cutting edge. And then the other thing is, if I can go back to another sea metaphor, it's like a tide, right? There are lots of individual waves, and they can be big and small. And sometimes something is very fashionable for the moment. I mean, if you think back a couple of years, it was blockchain and crypto. Mm-hmm. And this year it's AI. Last year it was AI. Next year maybe it'll be something else. I don't know. And then what you find though is the fluff around it, the overhype goes. But at the core, there's usually something useful, and that stays. And so you don't have to jump on every bandwagon. You can wait for that overhyped moment to go and then go, no, we're not going to do that just because it's new and exciting and shiny, but we are going to do it because actually we've seen there's going to be value in. So yeah, take the valuable part of these fashions.
I love that. And and it's so funny now because I'll be 55 this year, and I think about the things that come in, and you were saying like the trendy, the new things and all that stuff that is coming back now that used to be what we wore, what we did, what we watched, what we read, all of that is coming back now, and it's being really, real trendy. And I'm thinking, we did this like 40 years ago. I'm glad to see everybody's finally catching up with us. But, I just had to throw that in there because you were talking, somebody had something on yesterday. I saw it on Instagram, and I thought, we used to do it all the time. And it was, I can't even remember it. It was a girl tying a shirt a certain way. And she had one of those little clips that you run. And I'm thinking, I had like a dresser drawer full of those. That was cool back then. It's so funny now that you are thinking it's cool again. But when you think about what's the next level for Sarah, what's the next level for Flow? Like, what is it that you see for yourself moving from a personal standpoint, but also in a business?
So where I would love to get, we've talked an awful lot about the product, and I'm a developer. We've talked less about, for me, one of the really big challenges is sales. And where I would love to get is to a place where I'm not having to go out and say to people, hey, I'm doing this really great work, but where they can go, oh, that's a cool tool. We could use that. It would be helpful for us. And they're pulling on the tool. I was saying to someone the other day, I don't want to be famous personally, but I'd love my work to be famous. And they were like, yeah, you don't really mean that. And I'm like, no, I mean the Banksy thing. If you think about, do you guys know about Banksy
Yes.
in the US? Yeah. Banksy's work is incredibly famous. Banksy the person is not. That's where my sweet spot would be, right? What I do to be not just famous, but useful, right? For people to value it, for people to want it, for it to solve real problems and make your life running your business easier. I would so much love for my work to do that. And I would love for me not to be it's the challenge for me of being a founder, because you have to go out and talk about what you do for people to know who you are, right? But yeah, I'd love to get to a place where I no longer need to do that stuff, but my work still is going out and selling itself.
I love that. Like total legacy planning, for all the stuff that I look at that with Shiro and my logo, and I want it to be like, oh, Target, Starbucks, Dunkin', like, all the logos by looking at them. I just want it to be like, hey, I know what this is because this is someone who helps women, or their work helps women, or their work helps businesses, so I totally feel where you're at. What is the best way for people to reach out to you? And is your work international?
My work is absolutely international. At the moment, it's only in English, but we are enabled for translation. So we could even go, if you want us to translate, give us a shout and say you want that. And to get hold of me personally, find me on LinkedIn. There aren't too many Egglestons, so it should be fairly straightforward. There are definitely not too many Egglestons with a business called Flow. And the other way is, if you go to Flow, the address, the URL is flow.io, 2 Fs. And if you, at that point, you can contact us on info@flow.io. There's a contacts page. You'll find ways to get hold of us. So there's an email address as well.
Well, I have had so much fun talking with you. I feel like we're going to continue to talk, and probably you're going to come back on, because as you get, as things continue to evolve in your business, and, ways that we can talk about you and let other people know that you're out there. But I have totally appreciated you coordinating calendars with me and being here and spending this time with me. So thank you so very much, Sarah. And we are going to have all of Sarah's contact information along with the podcast as well, so that you will know how to get a hold of her. Please find her on LinkedIn. She has been just a wonderful person to get to know, and I'm excited for what's next for her. But this episode really, again, was just about an invitation. What we're doing here on Next Level Women podcast is just inviting women to stop second guessing what they want, what they see, what they feel, and understand that the rooms they're in are really powerful, and making sure that they are in the right rooms. It's not about becoming more polished. It's about becoming more attuned, more grounded, and more trusted. And from that place, influence becomes inevitable. So until we meet again, keep doing the work, keep choosing yourself, and keep rising into the life that's calling you. We'll be here every step of the way, guiding you to your next level. Thank you so much, Sarah. And I'm sure I will see you again.
Thank you so much. And for all you do for this community.